What's up, y'all? It's Kymmy Coco, host of your favorite podcast, Connecting the Dots. And today, I am without a co-host. Dom is off today. But we're here with one of my favorite people in Atlanta, Hannah Joy Gebresilassie. And I hope I said your last name right, because I practiced. That's good enough?
It was close. Gebresilassie.
Okay. So, are you Ethiopian, Somalian?
Ethiopian and Eritrean.
Yes.
Yeah.
My grandfather was Ethiopian Jew, and he practiced Judaism, and he taught Hebrew to my brother, but he didn't teach it to us. So we're still trying to learn it because we have all this art that my brother did, and it's like has Hebrew.
That's
and
cool.
We have no idea what it says.
That's really cool, though. We gotta figure out what that says.
Yes, I'm gonna take a picture of it and send it to you.
Yes, send it.
Anyway, thank you for being here. I want to start off the show by giving a rest in peace shout out to Earl Simmons, Darkman X, DMX, huge influence on the culture. May his soul rest in peace. I also want to urge Black men, we love you, we need you. Everybody, make sure you get your annual checkup. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Make sure you're taking care of your health because we need you really bad. We love you. Jay Black, I asked him when he got his last checkup, and he told me
I go annually.
He goes annually. We love an annual checkup, King. Okay, Hannah, thank you for coming here. Hannah she could very well be sitting here, so I don't want, because she used to be an anchor on the news, so I don't want to let her down, so I'm going to try to be on my best behavior and very professional today. Promote Positivity movement is amazing. I love what you guys are doing in the community. Tell us more about it. Tell us more about you, and tell us how and why you started it.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Kim, for this opportunity. I love these vibes, and definitely rest in power to our king brother, DMX. We love you. And thank you both for having me today. But yeah, just a little bit about my background. I'm the founder of a group called the Promote Positivity Movement, and we're just a community organization working to make a positive difference in this world. So whether it's taking to the streets to protest, or whether it's informing our communities about what's going on with legislation or different causes, we do that. Whether it's promoting health and wellness, especially when it comes to mental health, or even as you had mentioned with those annual checkups, we love to get that messaging across because our health is our wealth. And even with women, a couple things with, getting screenings with breast cancer, or making sure that we're getting our pap smears the older we get, to get checked and make sure that everything is clear. So again, Promote Positivity Movement is all about making a positive difference in this world. And it doesn't mean everything is perfect by any means. It doesn't mean everything is a walk in the park, a smooth one. It just means that we're going to do our best to push forward in whatever way we can. And one thing we always stress is that everybody plays a different role, right? You might be making a positive difference in this way. Somebody else might be doing it in this way, but it all works together for the greater good. So that's just a little bit about the movement and everything.
So if someone wants to read more about it, tell them where they can read more about Promote Positivity Movement. I like to get that straight off in the beginning because, if you're like me, and I say this all the time, while you're listening to people talk and you may be watching an interview, you might be scrolling on your phone like, let me read and let me see. And, as you learn more, you might want to donate. You might want to ask how you can help. And so go ahead and tell them right now how to connect with you.
I love that. Plug it in the beginning. I love that. So, yeah, people can visit Promote Positivity Movement on Instagram, or you can also visit hannahjoytv.com, and there's a tab that says Promote Positivity Movement, and you can click on that. Promote Positivity Movement is an initiative from my media company, Hannah Joy TV. So it's just the volunteer-led initiative that goes along with our mission to promote positivity worldwide. And there's different ways. We have events that we partner up with. Later in the month, we're partnering up with ATL Social Change to host a food drive in Atlanta. So there's different events that we love to partner up with and help the community with. So definitely check out Promote Positivity Movement on Instagram and the website.
Cool. There's so much going on right now in Georgia. I don't even know where to start. I'll start with when I met you. And as just a member of the community, because I'm not a part of like any specific group, but just out of love of the community, I always just wake up like, what's going on, and to see how we can let people know, even just for the sake of the show, what is going on in the community. What do you see right now is the most pressing issue in Georgia?
It's always hard to answer specifically one pressing issue, because really all of the issues are pressing. But when we look at what's going on in the Gold Dome, right, which is where the Georgia State Legislature is housed, we understand that when voting rights are under attack, every issue is under attack, right? We might be looking at maternal health care, or immigration, or criminal justice reform, or these police brutality cases, or, you know, people experiencing homelessness. All of these issues are tied to who is in office, who is elected to serve, what policies are in place, right? So when we go so hard to protect our voting rights, we're also going hard to protect these other areas that are directly impacted by who we're voting on and what we're voting on. So the reason why voting rights has become such a big issue for all of us coming together, as you know, we formed a coalition called Protect the Vote GA with more than 50 organizations that came together in a grassroots format to really put pressure on lawmakers, to raise awareness about what was going on. We held protests for more than 30 days at the Capitol, at corporations. We showed up to the airport. We showed up to
Home Depot, Coca-Cola.
Everywhere. We showed up to so many different places. And this is as a collective, right? Different groups were leading different charges, which was awesome. But we understand that voting rights directly impacts all of these other areas. So as you know, we saw that there were all these bills that were proposed in the Georgia State Legislature this past session. Georgia has a legislative session that meets for 40 days. So for 30 of those 40 days, we were out there applying pressure and letting them know, we see what y'all are doing. Y'all aren't gonna just slide this bill under the radar and get away with it. And these bills, just to name a few of them, the ones that we were really fighting against were SB 202, HB 531, and then SB 241.
So let's talk about those specifically. Let's break down a little bit of each one of those.
Yeah.
I've done that before on one of these shows, but we can do it again, because like I can't talk about this enough, and I can't like ring the alarm and wave the flags enough. Which one do you want to start with? Let's pull up some information. So
really, we can start with the one that is now law. I mean, the other two,
SB 202.
Yes.
Okay.
We can start with that one, because that's law now, and we need to make sure we're informing our communities. And I want everybody to know, we did put in the work, and we did see changes, right? We did see an awakening. The corporations are now speaking out against what's going on. There's funding that's now getting placed to help support groups, you know, that are fighting. And there's all kinds of impacts that have taken place. Yeah, the bill has become law, but it doesn't stop. We don't stop fighting. We can hopefully repeal that bill, or we can at least educate our communities to know exactly what's happening with that bill, or even see how we can get somebody else in office who won't pass bills like that. The governor's race is next year, 2022. So, you know, it's just a lot going on. But I think if you want to start with SB 202, which is now law, a few areas that we like to highlight is that it criminalizes serving food and water at the polls, right? And you got to be sort of outside of this 150-foot range, which has not been the case in this past election. How many people did you see handing out water to people standing in these long lines?
People literally started drives. Like, I personally, because I was seeing the lines, we see the same areas. We see it happen in Gwinnett County. We saw it happening coincidentally in majority, you know, black and brown areas in this area where the lines were super long. Even in Cobb County, I saw the line was super long. So I was like, you know what? I feel like, hey, I voted already. Let me go help them out. I know that you cannot do that anymore. I mean, I was literally like, okay, I'm just going to go to the Kroger across the street, get a box of water, and just give it to the people and make them more comfortable. That's just something that, I don't know.
That's humanity.
Right.
Humanity. How you gonna criminalize humanity?
So SB 202, one of the things, like you said, it criminalizes giving people water. And that's not even the worst part of it. I think the worst part of it is taking the power away from Secretary of State. And that is like such a jab at him because he wouldn't overturn the election and he wouldn't question some of the things they wanted him to question, and he wouldn't find the 11,000 whatever 102 votes that he needed that Trump called him and asked him to find. Like, so they're taking away some of his power. So that, and to me, and I'm like, am I the only one seeing this? It's like, because you want to be able to influence more people to do wrong. Like, you can't get to this one person. Okay, let's take away his power. So now the other people, I think it's, who is it that they give more power to?
The lawmakers.
The lawmakers and the people that count the votes.
They're trying to take more power away from county board election
The county
leaders,
board of elections. That's what I was looking for.
And then giving it to the lawmakers. And it is important to note, because this is very, very concerning, as you mentioned. It's also important to know that they can't change or manipulate the results. That is illegal, and they could face serious time and serious fines. So with that being said, it's going to be really important that we keep a close eye on what's going on, because at the end of the day, y'all want to play that game, we can play that game too. You know, if y'all try and do things that are illegal or anything like that, because they, even though they can take away power from these state county lawmakers, or excuse me, these county election boards, again, no, they cannot manipulate the results. They cannot change the results.
Right.
So whatever it is what it is. But it is an intimidation tactic, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you telling me if I live in Gwinnett or DeKalb or Fulton County, I can't even, you know, I'm not protected by my own county election board. I gotta now bow down to the knees of these Republican Georgia lawmakers who are, you know, majority of the lawmakers in the legislature. So it's problematic all around.
I don't want people to get comfortable because we've made such a slogan out of, we turned a red state blue, but that's on the federal level. Mm-hmm. So our representation for the country, Georgia is represented by Democrats, Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff. But here locally, it's still led by Republicans. So you guys really, we have to keep our eyes open and, you know, just let people know that we're still in this fight. Like, don't fall asleep because we have two Democratic senators on the federal level.
And even,
I love that.
Even, I guess, when we do, or when the people get the win that they want or turn it blue like they want to, you still have to fight.
You still have to fight. And then too, hold them accountable. Like, you know, once people are running, we always say, like, okay, don't just go to sleep. Oh, he won. Okay. Hold them accountable. Make sure. Right. The thing I love about Raphael Warnock is when Park Cannon was arrested, he flew from D.C. And you guys were out there waiting for her when she came out. Like, the support and the love, you guys, these grassroots organizations, you know, maybe protesting is not your thing, but you can always donate. You can always call. You can always send some encouragement. These people were out there for 30 days, bro. 30 days. And let me tell you, it would rain, they would be out there. There was a tornado warning. They were out there. The night that Park Cannon got arrested was the night that those tornadoes tore through Georgia. And they were still out there. It's not like, you know, just like Hannah said, the movement is, there's so many different ways that you can participate. I felt bad that day that I didn't go, but I'm just like that. And I saw you the next day, and I was like in tears because I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad. But Hannah was just like, no, don't ever feel bad. And when she said that, I was so encouraged. Like, yeah, really. If you retweet something, if you share something, if you talk to your neighbors, you're still in the movement.
Yeah. And if you tell your story, like, your story is so powerful, Kim. And I'm so glad the world is now getting to hear it. You know, as many people may know or have seen the article, you shared your story on CNN about how that photo that Governor Kemp,
I talk about, the funny thing is I talk about that all the time on this show, and I actually went live from there one day. If you guys follow us on CTD_ATL on Instagram, I try to share stuff about the news, of course, but one day in the summer, I think it was last summer, I actually was on the plantation and I was doing a live video, and I was like, y'all, this is where my family worked. This is where, like, my dad worked. All my family lived on this plantation until my dad. I'm the only one that didn't live there. And I was like, my hand was shaking. Like, that place creeps me out. It's like a haunted house to me and my family. My cousins and I, our dream is like to just see that house torn down. So for him to be sitting in front of that house, like, that just lit a fire under my ass. Like, I'm so ready for this guy to be gone. And if I got to go stand online today until 2022, I'm doing it.
You're not playing games.
Yeah,
You're
like,
ready.
I'm ready.
Wow.
I mean, it's questionable how he got elected in the first place. And to me, it's hilarious that they're so invested in searching the results of these, you know, because in 2018, Stacey Abrams only lost by like less than 100,000 votes, like less than 50,000 votes.
Yeah,
it was really close. Margin. And he was the Secretary of State for his own election. And nobody was that invested in researching stuff back then. It's beyond me.
It's so hypocritical.
SB 202, you got the extended voter ID requirements. You have to mail a copy of your license if you want to absentee vote, and then you got to mail it again. It's like all this stupid stuff.
Yeah, and then also like there's a reported 200,000 people who don't have a specific driver's license in the state, and those reasons are actually being researched right now. There's already task forces that have been created to investigate who these people are, how they can get assistance, what's going on, because you know there are different
how
reasons,
they can get an ID,
how they can get one, because there's we just know that there's about 200,000 people that don't have one in the state of Georgia, and they essentially would not be able to vote by mail. Yeah, because of this limitation. And it's like, you know, that wasn't a problem like you said in 2018, but now it is when y'all losing. So that's
because
really
he's got to know. I mean, I've never seen Brian Kemp with one black person. I saw him meet with Killer Mike. That was one black person. But last week, he was like every press conference. There's like black and brown people behind him.
Yeah, I would love to meet these people.
I want to see. We're gonna find out who they are.
Because I want to know.
We're gonna bring them up here and ask them.
Let's
how
have a
that
meeting.
happened.
Let's have a meeting with these folks.
The use of ballot boxes.
They're limiting the time on those. Like, how are you gonna limit?
And they can't be outside. I think that was one of the things.
I think that was one of the original things in the bill.
But they changed it.
They may have changed it because of the pressure and a lot of the groups that were fighting. We definitely can double check on that. But either way, we know that it's limited with timing too. Like before, it was 24/7 for most of them.
Just drop it off. Now it's during business hours.
Now it's like you telling me.
And that's how they keep it during business hours, because they put them inside of buildings now, so that it's not 24/7. You can only have access to the drop box while that business is open. That was a part of it.
That's intimidating, because it's like you're forcing me to walk into an establishment, you know, during COVID-19 to drop off my ballot, and it has to be in between this time and that time. What if I get off work at 8 p.m.?
Oh yeah, and see, that's the thing too that I talk about too is, you know, we say that it's going to affect black and brown people because we know black and brown people. We are black and brown people. We see where you work, what you do. You might work second, third shift. But I need some white people to understand that this affects you too.
Period.
I mean, when people started saying, you know, COVID is affecting black people, you know, and they're dying, I started seeing white people take their masks off. You know what I mean? Like, I started seeing more people buying into, like, you know, it's not spreading as fast. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, everything is not really race. Something is class. Some things are class. Mm-hmm. You know, you might work hours at somewhere that doesn't have 9 to 5 hours. That has nothing to do with you being black or brown. That has something to do with you needing to make more money because they didn't get the $15 minimum wage pushed through. Yeah. So it affects more people.
This is definitely one of those situations that affects both. I think to your point, you know, you're right. Like, this is going to affect people based on class and based on race. Like, you know, or based on really if you're black, I mean, or a minority in the state. So this is, you're going to see, and they know that. These Republican lawmakers are willing to take that risk. They know that this is going to have impacts on their base, and they're willing to take that risk. So that to me is just, that speaks enough, right? In terms of how much they don't care about the people. They don't care about black people. They don't care about poor people. They don't care about Latinx communities, AAPI communities, you know, just rich white people seems to be the only people they're trying to protect.
Another thing that you were mentioning about the initiative to get people to get IDs, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta, is making it so that in the water bills and other public announcements, there's a barcode that shows you how to get ID, how to register to vote, just to, you know, sort of offset what they're doing so that more people can be made aware. That's her way of helping. Okay. I guess I've not really heard her say much about it. I mean, I've seen tweets, but okay, you know, we're all still going to do what we all have to do, because at the end of the day, community is about community and really not about the leadership so much.
I think you summed that up perfectly. There's really nothing to add. You said it perfectly.
All right, SB, what was the next one?
So honestly, the other two almost do similar things. They've been put off, but they could pop up next session. So that's why it's important to keep an eye out. And with them trying to restrict who can apply for absentee ballot, right? They were literally trying to push it so that like none of us could apply for an absentee ballot while COVID-19 is still going on. And you see states like Colorado that have this open policy where everybody in the state gets a ballot. That's the type of progressive leadership we should be looking toward. How do we make voting easier, not harder, right? So I think the other two bills are just a continuation of these restrictive measures, and we're gonna see them probably pop back up, either in the forms they are or in different forms next session. So it's just really important that we continue to stay engaged, that we stay on top of it, and that we're knowledgeable. Like you're out here, now helping inform people of what's going on. You have these bullets right on your screen. You have the knowledge in your head. How do we get that to more people, right? So like you said, keep sharing on social media, keep letting people know these changes. And these changes are serious, y'all. You could get a misdemeanor for giving somebody a bottle of water that is standing in 99-degree heat on a summer day.
And it's like everybody always likes to say it's chess, not checkers. Like, this is the long game. He's already running his campaign.
Yep.
He's already running his campaign. Like, can't y'all see the setup? Stacey Abrams hasn't even announced that she's running yet. Let's just keep that in mind. We don't even know. I think that she's setting the stage. But they've already made her the enemy. If you ever hear any of them speak, we have to stop the lies from Stacey Abrams. It's not the lies from Stacey Abrams. There's no such thing. She's not out here saying any of this stuff.
I feel like you got to think like
they need a target.
No. You got to think is at the end of the day, like they're on the other side, so they're not going to say the same thing that you're saying. They're going to paint the person as a bad person, just like not saying that you're painting Brian Kemp as a bad person, but you don't have anything positive to say about him because of what he's showing you.
Yeah.
So to them, Stacey Abrams, they don't have anything positive to say.
She's literally not. She's literally not said anything to make her the target. This is these initiatives are led by the community. These initiatives to get people to vote and stuff like that. They need a face. I'm starting to notice that. Like, they need a target in order to spread this stuff, and they make her the bad guy so that, I mean, I don't know, because I don't think like that. It's like, let the facts be the facts and let people sort out the facts for themselves. Just put the information out there and people will see what's right and what's wrong. This lady is not, she literally went out there and said, hey, I'm not going to tell y'all to, boycott anything. That's not her job. You know what I'm saying? She's the person that's going to have to be the leader of the state. So it wasn't her job to do that. That's what the community does. The community saw what was going on. The community acted. The MLB saw what was going on, and the MLB acted. The reports are showing that Stacey Abrams literally asked them not to take the baseball game away, but they decided to do it anyway because who wants to keep going through back and forth with this foolishness? I mean, I understand that the state was open early at the expense of some health and lives of people that live here for money. But like, do y'all want everything? We had the NBA All-Star game. We had whatever the cheerleader competition thing we had. All those things were putting the lives of Georgians in jeopardy, and he didn't care then. He didn't care. So it's just like, the cards are out on the table. You can see it for what it is. I'm gonna shut up now.
I got a question for you because you lead the protest. You're leading the protest on this, from my understanding, right?
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah. So my question, I asked it last week on the show. Did the people? Did they respond or did they start changing the bills or trying to make a difference with the bills after you guys started protesting?
Absolutely.
So yes. That's my question is, how genuine are these politicians? Because they should know what's going on. They know that these bills are whatever it is, and they're not saying anything about it. So why does it take for us as the people to speak up and they know it's wrong?
That's a great question. until we vote them out, until we have us in those seats, this is a part of the process. We have to speak up, we have to speak out, and pressure works. That's why there are so many lobbyists that are employed.
Right.
And there's not enough lobbyists that look like us that are in that building, but the lobbyists that do are advocating for us. So it definitely was not just on one group or another. It was a collective effort that really helped these organizations, these lawmakers, you know. This bill was way worse than what it is now. It could have been a lot worse, and it is still bad. Nothing they could have done to this bill would have fixed it, but it's just not as bad as it could have been. And that is in large part because of the protests, because of the lobbyists, because of the voting rights groups. So you're absolutely right. We shouldn't have to do this. But unfortunately, as Sister Kim said in the beginning of the show, we have a Republican-led legislature. Until we switch that, we won't have to worry about this, you know, when we have lawmakers who really do care about people like us, who care about those who are not financially stable, who care about those who are not white. You know, all of these things, it's going to take a shift in the makeup of the Georgia State Legislature to get to a point where we don't have to risk our lives every day on the streets to raise our voices against these terrible measures.
And that goes back to the local elections. We focus a lot on, you know, the presidential election. We focused a lot on the governor's election. But like the city council members, the representatives in your districts, those are the ones that are making the difference. Park Cannon is a representative of, what district is she a representative of? Let me see. I can't remember off the top of my head. But she literally is making this huge difference. And let me just see what her district is. Let me see what her district is.
I got so many numbers in my head. 58, my bad.
Okay, she is the House of Representatives. She represents the 58th district of Georgia. Let me see where that is so I can thank y'all for voting for her.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I want to just highlight her and really uplift Representative Park Cannon, because she is about business. She, on the last day of session, while she's going through this traumatic experience, having gotten dragged out of the Capitol for simply knocking on the door to witness the signing of a bill, she passed a resolution to honor Jabari Robinson, who was murdered by police officers.
Yeah, we had Monteria on the show. You check out a previous episode. We had her and one of the private investigators. You guys should be able to find that on our YouTube channel, Connecting the Dots. You should subscribe to that too. But yes, she was here and she told we're familiar with that story and that family. We love her. Shout out to Monteria.
Shout out to Monteria Robinson, that queen who's been fighting for almost 5 years. We love you, Miss Robinson. Actually, this Wednesday we're going to be escorting her with Justice for Georgia to Fani Willis's office because she has a meeting with the DA. So that's going to be this Wednesday. If anybody's available, come through Federal Building at 11 a.m. Meet there, and then, you know, all the information is on Justice for Georgia, so you can easily find that, Justice for Georgia, on Instagram, Twitter, all the above. But the reason why I bring her up is because her family deserves justice. Jabari Robinson deserves justice. Nobody should be shot more than 110 rounds, left with 76 bullet holes in their body, and not receive justice.
Flashbang
grenades thrown at him, and just absolutely disturbing on every level. And this family deserves justice. And Representative Park Cannon, being the true representative that she is, even going through everything she's going through, she made sure that on the last day of session, she proposed a resolution that would honor Jabari Robinson. So every year on April 1st, which is his birthday, is Jabari Robinson Day in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And that just happened. And, you know, that is taking this one step forward. And that's why it's so important to have leaders like Representative Park Cannon. And when we can have, imagine if we have 5 Park Cannons. Imagine if we have 50 or 100, right? Like, we wouldn't have to be knocking on these doors, right? Because we are in these doors, and that's going to happen.
Georgia's 58th district, by the way, the House district covers DeKalb and Fulton counties, Cabbagetown, Reynoldstown, Edgewood, Gresham Park, Grant Park, Kirkwood, Ormwood Park, Boulevard Heights. Shout out to the constituency. Thank you guys for voting for Park Cannon. She is out here doing her job. And that's the type of thing we need to just bring awareness to. Because I encourage you guys. You don't have to go to every protest. You don't have to go to everything. But when you see these people for yourself and what they're doing, it will open your eyes to a whole new world, I promise. if you ever go to these protests and, you know, people are literally standing outside the Gold Dome, the Georgia state capitol, and you'll see some of the representatives come out and talk. You'll see some of the representatives come out and say, what are the issues? What are you guys out here for? What are you talking about? They work for you. You pay their salary. You literally are paying for these people to do what they're doing. So become more invested. I'm not saying, like I said, you don't have to go out there. I'm not telling you to sit there and watch C-SPAN all night. I'm not saying that either. But at some point, you got to see what the person that is representing your district is doing for you or not doing for you, so that you know how to proceed. Like, okay, bet, I voted for you. You're not doing shit. Guess what? I'm not going to vote for you again. Mm-hmm. That's just the bottom line. And you need to instill the fear of God in these people, because you are the ones that are holding their future in your hands. Mm-hmm. And exercise your right to protest. Everybody loves the Second Amendment. Everyone's fighting and voting for people based on their view of the Second Amendment. What about your First Amendment right?
Yep.
That is like, let me tell you, it'll make you feel so good. And, you know, we've all seen some really, really, really horrible scenes with George Floyd and the black men that have just been terrorized on the street. And it's a mental health break for you to go downtown and scream, what are y'all doing? It really is therapeutic. I'm serious.
It's therapeutic, and it's everything. You feel all kinds of emotions. It's hard too. I mean, you know that. And it's like, you gotta, and I agree 100%. Everybody does not need to be out in the streets, you guys. Find your lane, find your role, and play it to the best of your ability. Whether it's social media, donating, raising awareness, organizing mental health awareness forums.
Making a phone call, sending an email.
Exactly. You know, you can be involved from a civic engagement standpoint in so many different ways. Personally, I found that one of the biggest ways I personally am involved in is protesting, is helping lead protests and organize, in addition to my work as a media figure and other things that I do, because I know that pressure works. Now, this pressure, it can't just work on itself, right? Attorney Gerald Griggs, who's my activism mentor. Yes,
Gerald
he's
Griggs,
amazing.
shout out to Attorney Griggs. Attorney Griggs has been on the show a couple of times. We need to have him back. And we need Park Cannon. We need everybody. Look, I for the first time, Hannah, I'm not going to say it's because of you, but it's because of you. I got the nerve to talk at one of the protests. And the thing I said was, listen, you guys, use us as a media source, because we need to get this information out there. The more, the merrier. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, when we say, go back and check out our previous episodes, listen, we have so much information out there. Get to know Attorney Griggs.
Yeah.
Attorney Griggs is amazing. The work that he's doing, his influence. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're right.
You could talk about Gerald Griggs all day.
You took the words right out of my mouth. He is amazing, and he does so much work selflessly and he's so dedicated, you know. And he also is not just about doing the work. He's about grooming the next generation. Like, he's helped me. He's mentored me over this last year. You know, like, I don't think I would not be leading protests in the way that I'm leading them if it were not him being a guiding light in my life. So I appreciate you, Brother Griggs, and he knows that. But the reason why I bring him up is because he always quotes civil rights leaders in saying that there are 3 ways that you really have to push in order to see change, and it's legislation, litigation, and agitation. So these 3 areas need to be pushed, right? So the agitation is what you see on the streets. The legislation is what they're trying to push in the Gold Dome. And then the litigation is the lawsuits and the lawyers and all that, right? So y'all saw what happened. They passed this law. It's now become bill. They passed this bill. It's now become law. SB 202 is now law. Guess what? There are several pending lawsuits against them. There are these lawsuits that are in their faces that will hopefully help diminish or remove some of these measures. And not just the lawsuits, but when we think about a national level, there's HR 1 and HR 4, you know, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. If that gets pushed, if that becomes law, it will remove some of these measures in these bills automatically.
Yes, so and I'm pushing for that.
Yeah, we can vote on something nationally, and then we'll see it have a direct impact on our state and our local community. So there is a lot of things happening. So remember, trying, you know, from a civic engagement standpoint, just try your best to get involved in one of the areas, whether it's litigation, legislation, or agitation. And if you can't get involved in those 3, find your own lane, you know, and continue pushing.
So today, coincidentally, in Black history was the day that the Civil Rights Act of 1968 was signed. And none of those laws that were passed or the bills that got pushed through or not pushed through in the 60s were done without John Lewis, Martin Luther King, the Freedom Riders, and all those people. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think people understand. And I know people are like, oh, what y'all marching for? Y'all still marching? We've been marching. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Because that's how hard the pushback is. It's generational. And, people feel that need to keep that going. And the people that feel that need, please, please heed that call and get out there and do something. And like we say, it's not necessarily that, but do something. If you're feeling that pull. People always say, what they would do and what they wouldn't have done in the 60s. Well, guess what? We're still going through it. And whatever you're doing now is what you would have done then. Imagine the misinformation, the disinformation that went around back then. I mean, we have ways that we can, communicate through the internet. They didn't have that. So it was literally, when we say grassroots, it was, I'm about to call Shirley down the road and maybe she'll meet up and I'm going to call. Imagine what they went through to get some of these things organized. So it's like, let's stay invested, let's stay involved. And guess what? It's not just Georgia. They're doing this in Texas. They're doing this in North Carolina. Google it, look it up. Whatever state you're in, there are 40 some odd states that they're trying to pass these laws. They see the power of your vote. They see the power of the people. We just need you guys to realize your power. The power is always in the people. Not to sound cliche, because we hear that all the time from when we see movies about like the Black Panthers and all that. But literally, it is.
I got another question. Especially when it comes to like boycotting these big companies, when do you feel we're gonna take the initiative to kind of take our emotions out of dealing with these companies and actually do business with them? Because I feel like because I think last week we were talking like people have been boycotting Coke. And I think Kim was like, well, now we got to drink Pepsi. But it's like Pepsi was doing the same thing. Like, all these companies are doing the same thing. These companies are just doing business. They're not emotionally involved in none of this. Wherever they're going, wherever their money is, wherever's going to stretch their money, I should say, or wherever their customers is at. So I guess with all this going on, a lot of the businesses people been protesting the businesses. When do you feel like we're going to just start doing business with them instead of being emotional, like, oh, we're going to boycott this? Or do you feel like that's necessary?
Are you saying like proactive? Like,
no, I'm just saying like instead of like expecting them to really care about our fight, understanding because they're using us. I feel like these companies are using us. The only reason that they're taking certain stances is because they know, oh, we have to. So I feel like when are we just going to be like, okay, man, we have to work with you. Y'all have to work with us. Let's do business. Y'all, I feel like just taking our emotions out of when do you feel we're going to take our emotions out of these boycotts and protests and just do business with these people to get our agendas pushed?
I think it's a process. I think we have to recognize that we are overcoming centuries of oppression, centuries of terrorism, centuries of racism in this nation that is going to take a long time to overcome. We are in the process of overcoming it, but when you bring up situations like that, it's important to note that even with us, we're out protesting, we're out on the streets. We're also having meetings with these lawmakers. We're also having meetings with lawyers where we literally switch up. Like, we'll be in protest gear, yelling in their faces, hurry up, run to the bathroom, put on a little blazer, and then be in a meeting sitting down. Mm-hmm. So it's so many things happening at once that are really trying to get there. And next week, there's going to be a huge meeting with the pastors who were leading that boycott against Coca-Cola and Delta, and the CEO of Coca-Cola and the other leaders of these corporations. And it's going to be a sit-down, private, closed-door meeting about putting your money where your mouth is, about how we have corporate responsibility, because they have to be held accountability, right? They have to be held accountable. We need to see these corporations step up, and not just because we've caused all this noise. Yeah, this noise is what helped lead to this moment, but it has to be ongoing and consistent. And I think that meetings like that's about to take place next week with not just the managers, no, the CEOs are going to be at this meeting, with these community members. I think this will create substantial, long-lasting change that we want to see, and we have to keep pushing. I know it's tiring. we're all tired. I mean, and that's why I'm saying everybody find your lane. You know, everybody doesn't have to be in the streets. Everybody don't have to be knocking on the governor's door, but knock on some door. Like Representative Park Cannon is saying, keep knocking. Keep knocking on whatever door you can knock on. Like, and it's a lot, you know, on us too. I'm just gonna be 100% real with y'all. Protesting, it's a part of it, and it has to be done. If we were not out there protesting for 30 days, nobody would even have known about these bills. And I'm not trying to take credit for what's going on, because again, it's a community-driven effort. We need the lobbyists. We need the voting rights groups. We need the grassroots organizers. We need the community members, everybody. But at the end of the day, if the protests were not happening, these bills would have went under the radar, just like flown under without any attention. So I don't want to be 99 years old still protesting. Right. If I have to, I will be. But I want to be with my family. I want to be with my kids one day. You know what I mean? I don't want to be risking my life every day.
But I don't think people understand.
And that's what I was going to say. I think, and that's me, like, personally, I feel like we're always pushed, like, we always see the protest. But we don't see the action behind the protest, and I feel like that's why a lot of people are fed up. Like, man, we still protesting, but like you say, like, we don't see that y'all having these behind the door closed meetings, and that's why it's good to hear from people like you that's actually having these meetings. And I mean, you said it's behind closed door, but like with the protest, I guess it's more transparent. We know what it's about, and I feel like the people feel like the closed meetings should be transparent. When I know you can't disclose a lot of, you know, certain information, but I feel like that should be pushed as well.
Yeah.
Just like the protest is pushed, I feel like those meetings are pushed.
Yeah.
Even if you can't tell people, you could put out, you know, just like how they say the rally is here at this time. We're having a meeting with Coca-Cola on this day.
Yeah, and that
just, you know, just saying stuff like that.
Just to let everybody know, that has been publicly disclosed.
Yeah. But it's not pushed like, you know, you know how it is.
It's pushed if you're looking for it.
Right.
If you're looking for it, it's pushed. That's the thing. If you're not looking for it, your timeline might consist of a bunch of wonderful things like, you know, music and artists, and so you're probably not going to see that clip that says, oh, pastors and community members are about to meet with corporation leaders.
Us, then you'll see it.
Yeah, and you can follow groups like ours, you know, because somebody did come up to me too recently. Like, people will come up and say, oh, like, I don't understand, like, this is, you know, why, like, a lot of people have been saying stuff like, why are y'all protesting now? Where were y'all? And I was like, we've literally been trying to raise awareness for 30 days. And
30
people
days.
are just now.
And you know how I know, another reason why I know it's working? From the summer. Those protests bothered major corporations so bad that they're now trying to be proactive and stop.
And that's why that was my point.
Yeah.
They're not doing it because they care. They're doing it because it's affecting their money.
Well,
and that's why I say when are we gonna start doing business with them? Because that's all they're doing. Like, even what I always bring up with the Redskins, the Washington football team stadium, they changed that name because it was going to affect their money. This was going on for years, and then once I think FedEx wanted to pull out, then the team decided to change the name.
Just like when the religious leaders meet with Coca-Cola and Home Depot and whoever else, and they put what they are going to put out there. The fact that they're meeting with them at all, they don't have to meet with them. They could be like, yeah, whatever, go protest, whatever. You're still going to buy my stuff. Just that alone is someone like, they're listening, like even if they're fake listening, they're putting up a front, like they recognize this power in this Black religious community. Another thing that made me notice that they were paying attention, they're putting a fence around the Capitol.
Yeah.
Another thing that made me notice that they were shook, the intimidation.
Personally, I feel like the fences is because it's Black people. Because they're intimidated by Black people, not because of, I don't think it got to do, I don't know. I think it's because it's Black people protesting. Any other protest wouldn't have got this.
I think it was because of that until the January 6th insurrection and until Trump started making Brian Kemp be an enemy. And then they started working faster to build the fence because not only were the Black people
I say that because even last summer, people were boarding up for precautions because it was because they thought Black people were gonna destroy their property. Well, like they were taking those precautions before. Now they think that Brian Kemp at some point had to be thinking that white people were going to destroy his property because Donald Trump literally put him as the enemy. Like, they wouldn't flip the election. It's all on Georgia. And they had people start coming to the Capitol, I think,
In December. And that is actually, they had a group of
guns.
White supremacists, that's call them what it is, Trump supporters who came to the Capitol, the Georgia State Capitol, armed, like, you know, and after that, Capitol Police started surrounding the Capitol with AR-15s in response to those white folks that were there in December.
And they were only there for 2 days.
Yeah. And so we experienced some of that because like they started carrying those AR-15s around campus, and now we're showing up to protest. We come in peace, but they're still armed, like we're the white people from December, you know, which we're not.
They don't know.
But and so we've actually had conversations with law enforcement, and this is stuff we talk about on a daily basis at the protest. And that's another thing too. People need to understand when you come to protest, it's not just about yelling and raising your voices. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to understand what's going on, because sometimes that's where we can all gather and talk about these bills. We can talk about, hey, we just had a meeting with that lawmaker and this is what he said. Yeah, we'll talk about it on social media too, but everybody's not going to follow every single one of us.
But that's what I mean. When you show up there and you see which representatives are invested, which representatives are recognizing the fact that you care so much that you showed up. So let me come out here and talk to the people, because I work for the people.
We had a representative who literally, we have protesters and leaders who are traumatized by police because of the work that we do, or like, you know, different reasons. And we literally had a lawmaker, I want to shout her out, Representative B. Wynn, who is amazing.
I love her.
Yeah, she's amazing, but she worked with us every day to keep an eye out on the police so that they would not harass us.
Because they were.
Yeah, because they were, to make sure that there was a lawmaker on site who could check in with us every day and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I just want to check in, everything good. Okay, I got their badge information. If anything pops off, I got y'all. Because those are the types of relationships we have been building because we had to, because it was so intense.
The intimidation tactics are, like I said, you have to just go and see. Like, if you have to go and you have to see, because they had literally protesters out dancing and singing, and they had the biggest person I've ever seen in my life show up. And to me, that was just like such an intimidation tactic. Like, these people are dancing and singing, holding up signs, just here to exercise their right. And I don't know.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, also wanted to shout out, you know, we shouted out Representatives Park Cannon, of course, Representative B. Wynn. I really want to shout out Representative Erica Thomas. Representative Erica Thomas and Representative Park Cannon have been standing by us since February, and with this specific measure, I'm talking about when it comes to specifically this voting this voting restrictive bill, since February. Since February, they've been we've all been trying to get this out, trying to raise awareness. It took so much, you know, for people to finally start getting on board, which is fine. At the end of the day, we're all here now, right? And now we're aware, we can keep pushing together. But I just really want to shout out Representative Erica Thomas and Representative Park Cannon, who were there from the beginning. And then I also want to shout out Representative B. Wynn, Representative David Dreyer, Representative Sandra Scott, and Representative Renita Shannon, because those 4 individuals as well have been on the front lines fighting every day and really pushing the needle forward.
B. Wynn represents the 89th district. She's fierce. I don't know if you've ever heard her floor speeches, but she's fire. She actually contacted me and was like, if you want them to take that picture down, I will write them a letter.
I love it.
She did.
Make sure to follow up. And did she do it yet?
Well, the response I got from Governor Kemp's office was that those pictures are rotated. So, like, they change them, they move them, they take them down, they move them around. So I was like, don't waste your time, because they're just going to say whatever. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's wasting time. I say you exhaust.
Because if we do that, you know what they're going to do, right? They're just going to switch it with another picture. And it's the spirit in that building, more so than that picture. Like, all those pictures creep me out. Everything about that place on the inside creeps me out. And before I get a new governor, and her picture adorns the walls of that building, they need a damn exorcism in that whole building.
You're right.
I mean, I was like, whatever. You know what I mean? The point was made. He did what he did. That just, like I said, lit a fire under my ass to just keep moving and keep going, because I represent my family. And that was just so, I don't know what that, like, I know what it was, but I don't believe they were so blatant in doing it. When the bill was being discussed and talked about and debated, It took a few days. When it got to the governor's desk, whoop, sign it. Mm-hmm. Like in the cover, like the whole thing was just so telling. Mm-hmm. And like we said, now Representative Park Cannon, her role she's just been, like a rocket ship in the atmosphere to show everybody how, I don't know, divisive these laws are. So that's just what she became. She became the example of what they'll do. Yeah.
She's also a force, as Attorney Griggs said, we went from Rosa to Park, and I agree. She is the Rosa Parks of this generation, and her courage, her bravery, and that wasn't the first incident she had, as many people may know. About a month prior to that incident, there was another situation with officers where an officer grabbed her by the arm and moved her over when she was just trying to protect us. There was 5 of us inside of the Capitol, and we were protesting these bills. Yeah. And she was just trying to protect us, and she, stood in front of their megaphone that they were just being really obnoxious with, and he grabbed her by her arm and basically physically assaulting her. I mean, there was no reason for that amount of force, and moved her out the way. And she's the type of person that she could easily make this about herself, but mm-hmm. this is about the cause for her, and she's been through so much. This has been a very traumatic experience.
I don't think people realize how young she is.
Yeah, she's 29, and it's like, and she's saying like, when, keep knocking, stand with Park and stand for voting rights, and I just have so much respect for her, because after everything she's been through, she continues to fight and be a light in our community to stand up against what's wrong.
Yes. I can't say enough about Park Cannon. Thank you. I don't, even my family, they're like, man, I was like, I know. I mean, just for that to have been in front of that picture of the plantation, and then her, to me, that just like, that was a part of me with her, like knocking on that door, right. Like, are y'all serious? Mm-hmm. So yeah, just keep your eyes open, follow these people, follow these movements, and stay on top of what's going on, because you can act like you don't care, or it doesn't affect you. It does.
Yep.
It does. I mean, there's no way around it. It absolutely does. It affects every aspect of your life, whether you want to pay attention to it or not. When these people are fighting for your rights, you are getting to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Yeah, and I always stress, everybody plays their own role, and I never want anybody. We should not feel bad about, oh, this person's doing more than me, or I'm doing more than them, or no, like, you may have commitments you got to handle. That person may have more time on their hands to be out there every day. You might have a father you're taking care of, a child you're taking care of. Like, we have to kind of get, as a community, as a collective, we got to get out of the mindset of trying to compare and contrast. Like, if we can own our spaces really well and know that, okay, well, this is going to be my contribution to the movement, and I'm going to own this, or I'm going to support this group. We had a lady last week tell us, look, I'm 55. I'm not coming out to protest like y'all, but I will help fund y'all. She literally told us that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
and
you know what I mean?
at the same time, there's the older ladies that get dropped off at the protest. Yeah. They can barely stand up, but that's there. What they do. Exactly. They remember going to the old protests, mm-hmm. and that's their thing.
Exactly. Like, we had an 80-year-old woman on a cane who was walking with us during a march recently. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's lane is going to look different. You might be that 80-year-old who's on that cane, or you might be that 80-year-old who's donating, or just praying, or just sending positive vibes, Like, we all can play a role, and we're going to continue stressing that message. And I just do want people to know, like, when we come out to protest, it is not a game. It is not for fun.
It's not.
It is a traumatizing experience. It is. Every day we're out there. We have people that have been out there that can't even afford therapy, that have taken time off of work to be out there, that have taken time away from their families, from their commitments, just to be out there to raise our voices for 5 million Georgians. We know all 5 million of us can't be out there, but 50 of us can, right? And so I just have the utmost respect and admiration for all of them. And I do want people to know it's a very emotional field. It is a battlefield when you're out there. I myself have been grabbed by a police officer this past month, and it's to the point where it's on the back burner because there's so much we have to focus on. Each of us individually are going through our own things in this moment, but it's like we have to focus on our mission, right? Like, a Republican lawmaker hit me with his bag on purpose. It's like we're getting attacked, we're getting harassed, we're getting emotionally pulled in so many directions every day. And that's why we don't expect everybody to be out there. But we do expect everyone to just find their own lane. And also, you know, have an open mind and trust us a little bit to know that we're not just out there raising our voices for no reason. We're raising our voices because we know that pressure works, and we know that there are all these steps we have to take in order to get the solutions we want. And part of it, a big part of it, is the protesting and the agitation on the streets. And another part of it is those meetings, the public ones and the private ones. And if you want to get connected, please follow us on social media. We're happy. This is a community. We accept everybody, and we want to grow together. You know, and you can follow us at there's so many groups that are part of this. My group is Promote Positivity Movement. You can follow Justice for Georgia. You can follow the People's Uprising. You can follow Crystal in the City, Attorney Griggs, Dante Carter. You can follow Civic Georgia, ATL Social Change. You can follow, of course, the coalition group we started, which is Protect the Vote GA. You can follow NAACP Atlanta, or NAACP Georgia, or the New Georgia Project Action Fund, or Black Voters Matter. I mean, the list goes on. And if you want to learn more, just visit any of these channels. And if you want to learn more about Protect the Vote GA, you can go to protectthevotega.org, and you'll see a list of a lot of the people who are on the grounds working, as well as more action items.
I do want to say too, like, I don't want, like, the people that's protesting, I don't want y'all to feel like we don't appreciate y'all, because we do appreciate y'all, even the people that's not out there. I just feel like, you know, just the people that's not involved with it, just like, they need, I think that's where we come in. We try to be that medium to where we can get that to our people. But we do appreciate everything y'all doing. It just, I guess it gets exhausting to the people on the outside looking in, because it's just like, we always protesting something. So it's just like, it's a never ending fight. And I can understand, like, with somebody, even myself, like, I'm not super involved in it. Like I say, my contribution is basically the media and trying to get the information out there. And that's why even when I'm asking certain questions, because I want to get that information out there. But I just feel like, you know, it's exhausting sometimes, and you know,
it's exhausting for us too.
Yeah.
And then for somebody on the outside looking in to not really know what's going on and be like, they still protesting.
I think people need to realize too. I mean, what you're doing is your contribution, and it's just as needed, the media outlet. But I think people need to also remember, this country was founded on a protest. The reason why we're here right now is because a bunch of people got sick of what they were going through under the leadership of the King of England, and they left. And they protested. And when they were going to be made to pay taxes, guess what they did? The Tea Party, when they threw the tea in the water, that was a protest. So that's the only language that these people speak. That's the only language that they understand. Money and protesting. Period. That's the way I look at it. I think that that's just a part of your duty, and that's why that's the First Amendment. That is the first one. And if they understand that, because they did it. I don't think anybody that was at the insurrection on January 6th wasn't watching what was going on in these streets all summer. It's just that they took it to the place they knew they needed to take it to. And they were fueled by the power that they feel like they are entitled. Well, guess what? You are entitled too. As a matter of fact, you're probably more entitled, because I'm willing to guarantee that your ancestors were here longer than some of theirs. I guarantee you. So I just want people to feel empowered. I want people to feel informed. Follow all the people that Hannah was just talking about. Follow Hannah. Follow us. And let's just keep the conversation going. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's like, we are a community. We all share this space. And Hannah, you lead it so well with love. And everything that you do is from a place of love. And I can't thank you enough. I feel the same way about you that I feel about Park Cannon, and just respect the fact that you're doing what you're doing. So I'm going to give you your flowers right now. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to give them right back to you, because you be, you know, even with y'all do with the show, definitely appreciate you all so much for helping get the word out to community members, and all your light, and just being vulnerable with your story, because that's going to impact millions and millions. So we're just grateful for all of you guys. And I give the flowers right back to you all as well.
The humility. It's the humility for me.
And we want you to know this is an open platform. So if you ever have like issues that you feel like you want to, we definitely want to help you with
let
it.
us know. Open invitation. Open invitation. Definitely. we're gonna wrap up, y'all. Because I'm sure Hannah needs to get some rest. This girl does work constantly. J Black, was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nah. Again, RP to DMX.
Yes.
Shout out to all the people out there protesting, that's out there on the ground in the face of these people that's doing the work.
Yes. Yes. Black men, we love you. X, man, huge loss. Make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. We're going to talk about that probably next week. You guys give us all the stuff that we should talk about. So make sure you follow us, subscribe to Connecting the Dots. Tell everybody where they can listen or look at us at J Black, because I think I'll be forgetting some places sometimes. I look back like, you didn't say something right.
So it's on the podcast. You can listen to it on all the podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, all those. And then on YouTube, you search Innovative Black Station, and then Connecting the Dots is on the...
Yeah, subscribe to the ones that you really can't see, because sometimes my hair don't be done, y'all, and I still want you to hear what I got to say. All right, y'all, we're going to wrap it up. Peace. Have a great week.
Cool. So we got